when women lead in the workplace, the bottom line benefit. So this is not just a nice benefit for women. This is essential for business.
It's more about educating the people that aren't in the know or need to be educated. And it's doing it, through love and compassion and understanding instead of through hate and saying you have to accept this. I think if we explain to people what's going on, I think they'll be more open to it. There's so much more than just male, female, boy, girl. There always has been. We've just never had a ballsy enough society to take ownership and to talk about it and to allow people and allow themselves to be who they are.
The most creativity and the most innovative teams are those where you have diversity of thought, diversity of people, diversity of backgrounds. And so I realised that in the insurance sector, particularly, I think perhaps more than other sectors, it hasn't really embraced the importance of diversity and inclusion in the workplace yet. So we did a lot of work around that. It was tough, but great progress has been made. We opened up people's minds to having people not like them sitting around the table. And they realised that they were being, challenged. Perhaps they hadn't been challenged in the same way before, but challenged in a healthy, positive way.
Sometimes people are surprised when I say I'm a black female scientist because they don't think black people or people from ethnic minorities or females go into science, but they're so wrong. To me, what makes a scientist is being inquisitive, is wanting to know things and understand things. So if you're that sort of person, if you're inquisitive and you want to know more, science is the perfect job. And although in the past it has been sort of quite male dominated, and it still is, what I find is that when I'm working with people, at first they think, oh, she's not one of us. But when you start doing the science, it sort of transcends those barriers. We're working together to solve a problem, to discover something, to do some good. And then you forget about all the rest and you focus on the science.
It's so important to be yourself because it can be hard to. It can be, we can think that we should change who we are slightly. And I certainly did that when I was younger. And I think if you can just be honest with who you are and again, authentic, which is a theme that I suppose I bring to almost everything I do, and put your brave boots on and don't accept things if they're not all right, because again, we are human beings who are trying to achieve and succeed in what we've set out to be. And that diversity of thought and diversity of individuals that we have is what helps build a high-performing team.
You've got to find your passion in life. You've got to know what you love to do, because when you find that, the success comes just that little bit easier. And the tough days and the disappointments, they're just that little bit easier to cope with when you're doing something you love. Follow your gut feeling in life. It doesn't always shout out and scream and tell you which way to go, but if you're patient enough to listen to it and brave enough to follow it, it will always set you off on the right path. Dream big. We've all got to know where we want to go, and we've all got to be able to see ourselves where we want to be. But always remember that a dream without a clear plan of how you're going to realize that dream, that's simply a wish.
That's when I found myself in the middle of the Harlequins Worcester game. And honestly, to be there and know what I'd overcome in the past, what I'd done to get myself there, the fitness, the amount of stuff that I'd done in the background to really get myself in that position, it was all starting to pay off. And I get there in the middle and it was amazing. It was the best feeling in the world. I had my family around me and it all really made everything worthwhile.
I think what I'm trying to put back into business is just fairness, kindness, collaboration, and values that historically have not been recognised within business as the ones that make you get to the top. Let's be honest about that. If you know what you're doing and you're good at what you do, you can deal with uncertainty. And if you put what is basic premise of goodness and doing good work with good people and putting respect and dignity at the heart of it, you normally can get through the shit times.
One of the biggest challenges that I had when I first came into, I would say, a male-dominated environment when working in broadcasting was that I almost tried to be like the men around me. I lost myself, if I'm honest. And that was really evident. I wasn't being myself. I wasn't enjoying my experiences working in that environment. So I'd encourage women to be their authentic self, back themselves as well, have confidence in themselves. For some reason, when we're in that environment, we feel like we shouldn't speak up, or we feel like our voice shouldn't be heard, or we feel like it isn't being heard. So I think it's important to recognise it's not necessarily the person who is the issue, it's the environment that is probably more of a responsibility and is causing the problem. So I would say for those women in those environments, back themselves, make sure their voice is heard, be their authentic self. Don't be afraid to interrupt or challenge. I think that's incredibly important.
The one piece of advice would be to believe in yourself, because we all have those times where we just don't know whether we can do it, or we look around thinking, why did I put myself forward for this? Why am I here? And you just have to take a leap of faith, focus on your goals, and know that whatever you don't know at this point in time, you're going to learn. You can learn. And actually, it's sink or swim, and you'll swim, you'll do it.
The most important thing that I learned was to break down this massive challenge. I ended up rowing a total of 15,000 miles. And I really just had to break it down into one day, one rowing shift, 1 mile at a time, or else it was just too much to cope with. And I really think we could do absolutely anything when we break it down in small enough pieces and just keep on consistently and persistently showing up.
The recognition is clear that when women lead in the workplace, the bottom line benefits. So this is not just a nice benefit for women. This is essential for business. That's why it's important for businesses to support women as they develop their own leadership skills and their own skills of collaborating, building teams, and being able to succeed without burning out.
This AI revolution is going to become one of the most important political questions of our generation. We've already seen how the information revolution of the past 30 years, the internet, smartphones, cloud computing, have become one of the main geopolitical forces that are shaping our world, right? Technology. Now you add the AI revolution on top of that and the data that's powering that AI revolution. And again, you have a seismic political issue that is going to be one of the most important things that society needs to deal with in the next generation.
The world is made of diverse people and everybody is different. If you have a team with the same skills, the same colour skin, the same racial background, the same cultural background, you will always just do the same thing. If you have a mixed team of many different people, all those skills, all those ideas, they will make that team more powerful, they'll make it be able to perform better, and equality comes across the whole range. And it just is for a better, more successful, happier world.
The reality is that women are able to demonstrate the most valuable leadership skills. So empathy, emotional intelligence particularly, are the skills that are seen as the most valuable, the most powerful, and all of the research supports the fact that women typically demonstrate these better than men do. And there's a lot of history around that. There's a lot of our social programming, our conditioning. It's not necessarily about our natural ability, but that's where we are. Businesses with more women in senior positions make more money, they perform better, their teams are happier, and yet only 1 in 5 senior leaders is a woman. So we know that women are really good at it. We know that it has this knock-on effect through to the bottom line, past all your people, and yet we still don't have enough women. So
we need to work double and triple harder as a woman to prove our abilities. But we should not lose hope, because once women find its space and find its seat, nobody can take that seat and opportunity from them. So find fight for that space, fight for that seat. And once you are there, nobody's going to take that away from you.
Giving young girls and young boys the same equal opportunities from the very base level, and that's the grassroots level, foundations within clubs, and given the same level of resource and attention to it. And, it will not naturally cultivate and thrive on its own, I believe. You give anyone that kind of space to feel empowered and show their ability, it can just grow with that. So I think fundamentally, you need to have the right, grassroots foundations, but you also need people at the top who execute power to be pulling in the same direction and recognize the equal value of both boys and girls and obviously men and women within different roles within sport.
You are all thinking the same thing. Top Gun, yes. Exactly. Well, to be honest, when I turned up to the squadron, so was I. In fact, I was thinking, it's time to change my name, because Mandy just didn't really seem to cut the mustard with the likes of the Mavericks, the Vipers, the Icemen of the world. I was going for Ice Maiden, if I'm honest. But you don't get to choose your own call sign. And unfortunately for me, I am 6 foot tall. Yes, I do fit into a cockpit. But there was a program on in America at the time called Sesame Street. Yes, my call sign became Big Bird. If you want disappointment, that's it in one easy move, basically. 17 years with Big Bird written across your chest.